Picture this, right? It is 2 o'clock in the morning.
The absolute worst time to be awake.
Oh, totally. You are staring at the ceiling of your bedroom, completely wide awake, and you are the owner of a digital agency based in Austin, Texas.
Okay, I can picture it.
Yeah, so earlier today, you were celebrating because you just closed a massive deal. I mean, a $10,000 contract to build a brand new Shopify store for this fast-growing, direct-to-consumer skincare brand.
That's a huge win. That's like exactly the kind of client you spend months chasing.
Exactly. It is a massive win. But, well, there's a very real problem that is keeping you awake at 2 a.m. You have absolutely no one to actually build the site.
Right. It is the ultimate double-edged sword of running a service business. You win the work, and the thrill of the sale just immediately gives way to the dread of fulfillment.
Yeah, and this isn't a scenario where you are just like a solo operation starting out. In this specific scenario, you have a team of 9 people.
Oh, wow. So you have the staff.
You do, but all of your developers are already neck deep in 2 other major projects. And of course, those projects are running behind schedule. If you pull them off to start on this new skincare brand, everything else just collapses. So you're experiencing pure professional panic.
Because your reputation is entirely on the line. I mean, you spent months nurturing this lead, building trust, proving you were the right agency for the job.
Yeah.
And then the moment the ink dries on the contract, the realization hits that you might actually fail to deliver.
It's a nightmare. And digital marketer and agency owner Prince Kapoor painted this exact scenario in an article he wrote back on May 18th, 2026. And it is basically the perfect jumping-off point for our deep dive today.
It really is.
So we are exploring the hidden, invisible economy of digital agencies. Whether you, the listener, are a solo freelancer trying to punch above your weight class, or an agency owner dealing with that 2 a.m. panic, or honestly, just someone fascinated by how the internet actually gets built behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's wild when you realize how much of this goes on.
Right. We are going to look at how businesses are scaling their revenue without adding a single employee to their payroll.
Which is crazy because the mechanics of how this works are largely kept in the shadows, by design. But this invisible layer is fundamentally changing the economics of the entire digital service industry.
So let's look at the immediate crisis first. You've won this hard-earned deal, but your team is completely maxed out. I mean, the obvious answer seems to be to just, hire another developer.
Right.
You have more work, so you bring on more hands.
Well, yeah, but when you actually sit down and do the math, that instinct usually breaks down pretty fast.
How so?
Because hiring a full-time, highly skilled Shopify developer carries a massive financial burden. I mean, you are looking at anywhere from $80,000 to like $120,000 a year in base salary.
Wow, just for the base.
Exactly. Add in benefits, taxes, and all the software licenses they need, and your overhead just skyrockets. And beyond the money, there is a severe time cost.
Right, the ramp-up time. I mean, sourcing candidates, running those technical interviews, making an offer, and properly onboarding them. That usually takes about 3 months before they become genuinely productive.
Yeah, and your new skincare client is definitely not going to sit around for an entire fiscal quarter waiting for you to start building their store.
No way. They want to launch for the upcoming holiday season. They want it done now.
Right, which leaves you trapped. Turning down the work means turning away revenue, and you're potentially handing a highly valuable client straight to your competitors.
Which you never want to do.
Right. So you either absorb a massive fixed cost that might sink your margins, or you lose the deal entirely.
Okay, let's unpack this. If hiring is out and passing on the work is out, the solution we are talking about today is white label development. Is this essentially ghostwriting, but for code?
Ghostwriting is actually a great way to frame it. The article uses this really perfect analogy. Think of a high-end restaurant, right?
Okay.
Customers come in, they sit down, and they are served this beautiful, fresh, artisan bread.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, but the restaurant didn't actually bake that bread. Fresh loaves are delivered every single morning from a specialized bakery down the street, and they arrive in completely plain packaging.
Ah, I see.
So the restaurant slices it, they plate it beautifully, they serve it to the table alongside their own compound butter, and the customer never once stops to ask, where the flour was milled or who actually kneaded the dough.
Right, because they are paying for the restaurant's curation, the atmosphere, the final presentation. They just implicitly trust the restaurant's standard of quality.
Exactly.
I get the concept, but in the digital world, how does that delivery truck actually stay invisible? Like, if I hire an external developer, won't the client eventually notice a strange email address or maybe a different company's logo on the test site?
What's fascinating here is that the logistical mechanics of a true white label partnership are built specifically to prevent that. The invisibility is highly engineered.
Engineered how?
Well, white label partner doesn't just write code, they literally integrate into your operational infrastructure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They use email addresses provided by your agency. So when they push a notification or an update, it comes from like developer@austinagency.com.
Okay, that's clear.
Right. And when they build a staging environment for the client to review the progress, they configure the URL to match your agency's domain. And they brand the entire login screen with your agency's logo.
Man, that feels like a massive departure from just, you know, jumping on a freelance marketplace and outsourcing tasks.
Yeah.
Because I have seen traditional outsourcing turn into a total mess.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a nightmare.
Yeah, like you hire a freelancer in another time zone for a few bucks an hour,
Yeah.
and they end up CCing your client directly, or they leave comments in the source code with their own company's name. It just feels incredibly risky.
Because traditional outsourcing is transactional, and inherently messy, there are very few guardrails which can severely erode the client's trust.
For sure. If they realize you are just passing the work to a freelancer they could have easily hired themselves, they will start wondering why they're paying your premium agency rates.
Exactly. But a white label relationship is entirely different. It is locked down with strict non-disclosure agreements. You usually have a dedicated project manager on the partner side who acts as a buffer.
Okay.
So your client only ever talks to you, and you orchestrate the final presentation.
It really is a fully invisible bakery. And, I mean, this invisible model is absolutely exploding. The source mentions the white label market is projected to hit $99 billion by 2026.
That's massive.
Agencies are realizing that the real profit margins aren't necessarily in executing the technical work yourself. They are in owning the client relationship.
Yeah.
But, to understand why this market is ballooning to nearly $100 billion, we really have to look at the specific platform driving so much of this demand.
Right.
Which is Shopify.
Oh, yeah. The dominance of Shopify really cannot be overstated. It has completely shifted from being just a simple tool for small merchants to literally the foundational infrastructure of modern commerce.
The scale is wild. According to the 2026 stats in the article, Shopify powers 26% of all global e-commerce websites.
Just think about that for a second.
I know. A quarter of the entire internet's storefronts run on their architecture. It holds 30% of the United States e-commerce market, and it has processed over $1.6 trillion in cumulative gross merchandise volume.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around. If you are an agency dealing with commerce in literally any capacity, your clients are going to ask for Shopify builds. It is completely unavoidable.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because, wait, isn't Shopify famous for being incredibly easy to use?
Right? That was always their thing.
Yeah, their entire original marketing pitch was that anyone could set up a store in a weekend. It was built for accessibility. So why would an agency need to hire secret, highly specialized, and frankly, expensive developers for a platform that was literally designed to be a user-friendly drag-and-drop builder?
That is what we call the complexity trap.
Complexity trap. Okay, explain that.
It is true that if you just want to sell a handful of printed t-shirts out of your garage, the basic Shopify interface is incredibly easy to set up. But the days of an agency just dropping a brand's logo into a $20 template and charging $10,000, those days are long gone.
Right. Clients expect way more now.
Exactly. The platform has evolved into this enterprise tier powerhouse.
So the clients dropping $10,000, $20,000, or $50,000 on a website are asking for significantly more horsepower.
Oh, absolutely. They are demanding highly complex, customized architecture. For instance, consider headless builds using Shopify's Hydrogen framework.
Headless build?
Yeah. In a standard website, the front end, which is what the customer actually sees, is tightly coupled to the back-end database that stores all the product information.
Okay, makes sense.
But in a headless build, developers completely sever that connection.
Wait, why would a brand want to separate the visual website from its own database? Doesn't that just complicate everything?
It does complicate the development a lot, but it solves a massive problem, which is site speed. Ah, okay.
Think about it. If a brand has 10,000 products with high-resolution videos and complex variations, a traditional site has to query the database every single time a customer clicks a button.
Which slows down the page load.
Exactly.
Right.
And slow load times kill sales. By going headless, The front end can be delivered almost instantly to the user's browser, while the back end data just syncs quietly in the background via APIs.
Ah, so the user gets a lightning-fast experience, which obviously increases conversion rates.
Right.
But building that decoupled architecture requires serious engineering chops.
Oh, for
You
sure.
aren't just tweaking a theme anymore. You are building a custom application from scratch that happens to talk to Shopify.
And that is really just one piece of the puzzle. You also have things like checkout extensibility on Shopify Plus.
What does that do? It allows developers to build custom logic right into the checkout flow, like offering highly specific conditional upsells based on exactly what is currently in the cart. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, because Shopify is so ubiquitous, clients want it connected to everything else their business uses.
Right, like their inventory systems or their accounting software.
Yes, they need it perfectly integrated with legacy enterprise resource planning systems, ERPs like NetSuite.
Oh boy.
Yeah, connecting a modern cloud-based commerce platform to a massive 15-year-old legacy database is incredibly difficult.
I can imagine.
NetSuite might format a customer's shipping address in one specific way, and Shopify expects it in a completely different format. So a developer has to build custom middleware to translate that data in real time without dropping any orders.
Wow. Yeah, a generalist marketing agency simply cannot execute that in-house without risking a total catastrophe.
Not a chance.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
If you are an agency that specializes in branding, copywriting, maybe ad strategy, you do not want your team trying to write custom middleware for a multi-million-dollar inventory system.
No, you really don't.
So you hand that highly complex technical work to a ghost partner. But what is the actual scope of what these invisible teams do? Do they only handle these massive enterprise builds?
Not at all. It ranges from relatively small technical tasks all the way up to that massive ground-up enterprise architecture we just talked about.
Okay.
A quality white label partner knows how to scale their involvement. Sometimes a client just needs a solid responsive design using existing templates, and, a $3,000 theme customization does the job perfectly.
Right. Or they might need a custom feature that doesn't exist in the standard app store, like a highly specific 3D product configurator, which would obviously require dedicated app developers who understand Shopify's specific programming languages.
Exactly.
But I want to talk about one area that seems incredibly precarious. I mean, the absolute danger zone, migrations.
Oh, yes. The danger zone.
Moving a brand from an older platform like WooCommerce or Magento over to Shopify. What is the actual worst-case scenario for the agency if this invisible partner botches a migration?
The worst-case scenario is absolute devastation for the client's business, which, for the agency, leads to immediate termination and potentially legal action against you.
Wow.
Yeah. If a migration is not handled with surgical precision, you can literally tank a brand's organic search traffic overnight. Years of accumulated Google authority can just vanish in an instant.
Wait, how does moving to a better platform destroy your Google ranking? Like, what actually breaks during that move?
Okay, so when you move from an old platform, let's say Magento, to Shopify, the entire architecture of the website changes, and most importantly, the URL structures change.
Okay, I'm following.
Let's say your old store categorized a shirt under like website.com/category/men's/blue shirt.
Right.
Well, Shopify might naturally structure that as website.com/products/blue shirt. It's different. If the white label partner fails to properly map those old URLs to the new ones using permanent 301 redirects, every single link on the internet, every blog post, every social media share, every past Google search result suddenly points to a broken 404 error page.
Oh, no. And then Google's algorithm sees thousands of broken links, assumes your site is basically dead, and just plummets your ranking.
Exactly. And furthermore, you have to transfer SEO metadata, customer passwords, years of order history, and super complex product data. This requires highly specialized technical protocol.
It sounds like a minefield.
It is. A competent white label team will conduct comprehensive pre-migration audits, extensive data mapping, and they will run test migrations on dummy servers long before ever touching the live site.
That makes the workflow and quality control absolutely critical. Because as the agency owner, you are the one presenting this work to the client. You have to ensure the ghost team actually built what was promised.
Right.
So how do you manage that handoff without things getting, lost in translation?
It all comes down to a fundamental rule from the source material. Vague briefs produce vague results.
That's a great rule.
It really is. The agency's primary job in this model is translating the client's business goals into a highly detailed scope document for the developers.
So getting really specific.
Yes. This means providing the white label partner with final brand assets, annotated wireframes, explicit functional requirements, detailed integration lists, and clear priority rankings. If you just throw a loose idea over the wall and hope the ghost developer figures it out, you are going to get a mess back.
Let's talk about the testing phase too, because once the developers say, hey, it's done, you can't just glance at the homepage, see that the logo looks nice, and send it to the client. Quality assurance cannot be just a rubber stamp.
Absolutely not. The agency needs to act like an aggressive, impatient user. You really have to walk through the staging site and actively try to break things before launch.
Like kicking the tires.
Exactly. Put items in the cart, try applying expired discount codes, test the checkout flow on different mobile devices, benchmark the page speed, and verify cross-browser compatibility.
Because if you don't find the bugs in staging, your client's customers are going to find them on launch day. And the blame will fall squarely on you.
100%.
Knowing what the Ghost team does and the sheer technical weight they carry is fascinating. But for you listening, whether you're mapping out your business strategy right now or just trying to understand how this industry operates, the real question is, who exactly is utilizing this model and what do the actual economics look like?
So we generally see three main beneficiaries. First, you have marketing and creative agencies that simply do not have in-house developers.
Right.
They might be brilliant at brand strategy or running highly profitable ad campaigns, but historically, when a client asked for an e-commerce build, they had to awkwardly pass that referral to someone else. White labeling allows them to instantly expand their service menu. They suddenly have a full-stack development department they can turn on and off like a faucet.
That's huge for them. And the second group would be our panic-stricken agency owner in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Established agencies that have their own developers but are just completely maxed out on capacity. They can scale their output to meet seasonal demand without the massive financial commitment of hiring full-time staff.
Exactly. And the third group is perhaps the most disruptive.
Oh.
Solo freelancers and independent consultants.
Oh, that changes the dynamic completely. A solo operator working out of a home office can pitch comprehensive enterprise-level solutions to massive brands, knowing they have an invisible team of specialized engineers ready to execute the technical heavy lifting.
They can compete with agencies 10 times their size.
And they can do it highly profitably, right? So what does this all mean for the bottom line? Let's break down the math.
The economics are the reason this is a $99 billion industry. Let's say a client needs a standard Shopify build. The white label partner might quote the agency, say $4,000 for that project.
Okay, so the cost of the agency is $4,000. What do they turn around and charge the client?
The agency who is managing the client strategy, running the project flow, and carrying the reputational risk will typically sell that exact same build to the client for $8,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, agencies usually target 50% to 100% markups on white label costs.
So the agency is making $4,000 to $6,000 in gross profit without writing a single line of code.
Precisely.
They are monetizing their ability to manage the relationship and translate business needs into technical briefs.
And for complex Shopify Plus projects with custom integrations, those can cost the agency $8,000 to $25,000, which they mark up accordingly.
That's a massive chunk of revenue.
And beyond the initial build, there is ongoing maintenance. If the white label partner charges $25 to $75 an hour for back-end updates or security patches,
The agency marks that up to their standard hourly rate of, what, $150 or $200 an hour?
exactly.
That creates a highly profitable recurring revenue stream long after the website is launched.
Yeah.
But this raises a massive red flag in my mind.
Okay, what's that?
How do you actually trust an invisible partner with your business reputation? More specifically, what stops the white label developer from looking at the client list, reaching out directly and saying, hey, we are the ones actually writing the code. We will do it for half the price if you just cut the agency out of the deal.
This raises an important question, and it's honestly the most critical vulnerability in the entire model, which is why the vetting process must be ruthless.
Okay, how do you do it?
The legal protection is paramount. You absolutely must lock down a non-disclosure agreement that includes a strict, bulletproof non-solicitation clause.
Right.
This legally prevents the partner from ever interacting with, marketing to, or poaching your clients. If a potential white label partner hesitates for even a second to sign a non-solicitation agreement, you walk away immediately.
So the legal walls keep them away from your clients. But how do you vet their actual technical competence before handing over a high-stakes project?
You verify their credentials. Are they an official Shopify partner?
Good start.
Yeah. And if you are pitching enterprise work, you demand specific, verifiable case studies for Shopify Plus builds. You cannot accept generic portfolio links. You need to see proof that they understand advanced architecture like hydrogen and complex ERP integrations.
Beyond just the portfolio, the way they operate day to day seems just as important. I mean, if they write great code but disappear for 3 weeks at a time, you are the one who looks foolish when the client asks for a status update.
Which brings us to a really brilliant practical litmus test from the article for evaluating a partner before you commit to a massive project.
What is it?
Send them a test inquiry or a small, low-risk project first,
Huh.
and evaluate their communication during that initial phase.
Ah, smart.
Are they proactive? Do they send you regular updates, flag potential roadblocks early, and ask clarifying questions about your brief? Or are they reactive, where you find yourself constantly having to chase them down via email just to get a basic status report?
Yeah, the quality and proactivity of their communication during a test run is going to predict exactly how they will handle a $50,000 build.
Exactly.
Because if you have to babysit your ghost developer, the model completely fails. The goal is to reduce your stress, not multiply it.
This brings us to a pretty profound shift in how modern service businesses operate.
How so?
The digital agencies that are scaling the fastest today, the ones pulling in massive revenues with incredibly high margins, aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest payrolls or the largest office spaces.
Right.
They're the ones who have fundamentally figured out the difference between doing the work and owning the relationship.
That is really the core takeaway of this deep dive. You don't have to own the oven to sell the bread. You just need to be the absolute best at understanding what the customer wants to eat and where to source the highest quality ingredients.
Beautifully said. And it leaves us with a rather provocative thought to consider.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the modern digital agency is quietly evolving into essentially a front-end relationship manager, a curator of strategy and client experience, while an invisible, highly specialized global workforce actually builds the internet behind the scenes, are we witnessing the end of the traditional agency model as we know it?
Man, that is a fascinating question. Because if every agency from the solo freelancer in a coffee shop to a 50-person firm in New York has access to the exact same invisible, high-tier, white-label developers, then the quality of the code itself is no longer a unique selling proposition.
Exactly. In a future where the technical execution is completely commoditized and handled in the shadows, the only true competitive advantage you have left won't be your technical stack or your internal talent pool.
Right.
It will be your client's absolute unshakable trust in your brand, your strategic vision, and your taste. You are no longer selling code. You are selling peace of mind.
Which brings us right back to our agency owner in Austin, staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning. She doesn't need to panic about finding a developer by sunrise. She just needs to find the right invisible bakery so she can focus on running a world-class restaurant.
Exactly.
We really hope this deep dive encourages you to look at your own capacity bottlenecks a little differently, whether you are running an agency, freelancing, or just navigating the modern digital economy. Thank you for joining us as we explore the hidden architecture of the web. We will see you next time.